So I have a super exciting trade recap today. This was my best day so far this year. I went 4 out of 4 on trades, and I ended up with my Robinhood up 33% on the day and my Webull up over 11% on the day. I'm a little bit more risk averse on a lot more risk averse on my Webull because it's a much larger account. So I tend to kind of take smaller positions and then wait for those plays. So let's get into the pre-market here. So we were between around like 400 to like this 403 level, and so I looked for all the zones that were relevant to that price action. So this zone down here, this demand zone, is from 2 days back high of day. The one below that is from, looks like January 18th high of day. And then I'm not going to get into those other zones because we really never ended up going to that price level. This zone right here, if we go back from January 23rd, that's a high of day zone, and it overlaps with another zone that's from like early December when we were close to this 400 to 410 range. And then this zone right here is super far back. This is from like November. So these zones are coming from, and this zone up here is all the way from December. So I'm grabbing these zones from the last time we were in this price range. So this was that last kind of top we had around 410. So it's been a while, so kind of have to go back for those zones. But anyway, let's get started with the price action, and I'll walk you through my trades. We'll start the day. Pretty bullish sign. We reject here, and then we come back and we find support on the top of this demand zone. We actually end up dumping, so we get the sell signal here. So I entered puts here, and here my target would be the top of this demand zone. That would be my first target, and if we bounce off of that, I would scale all the way out. If we don't, this bottom of this demand zone would be my final target. I don't think that we go below that. That was also a pre-market low support there, or pre-market support. Alright, so I end up taking all my profits here at the bottom of this demand zone. So that was my first trade, and it was a signal, and that was a success. And so then we bounce off the 21 EMA, we reject VWAP, we close over VWAP actually, and then looks like we have a 921 EMA cross there. No signal triggered, looks like it wasn't strong, and yep. Now we get a sell signal here. So with this sell signal, I was looking for first target, just this fib support right here, and then second target is the top of this demand zone at this 401 level. Okay, so we ended up pulling back. I almost got stopped out here. So the 9 EMA was my stop on this, and I noticed we were kind of forming a bear flag. So I did almost get stopped out, but I remained in the position because we didn't close above the 9, and then we dumped, and I actually ended up taking my profit right here. I didn't catch this full move to the 200. I think I had like 1 or 2 contracts left to scale at the 200, and then I was pretty much out by there. And then we end up bouncing strongly off this 400 level. This is when I tweeted, I was like, I would completely get out of calls. The 400 level we know is a very strong support, and then we bounce off of that. Reject the 21 EMA, dump again, find support there again. That was a pretty strong bullish reversal candle. Okay, and then, right, so this was one of my trades. So I'll tell you what I did on this trade. So I noticed that we had a really clean, I believe it was like that. Yeah, we have a pretty clean trend line, and so I was waiting for us to break this trend line and get some other signals, and this was the best setup that I've seen today. I had all my pieces of conviction. I had the bullish 921 EMA cross, I had an increase in volume, I had a green MACD, I had a close above VWAP, and I had a break of this trend line. So I had 5 things going in my favor, and my first target was the top of this demand zone, final target was the top, supply zone, sorry. Second target was the top of that supply zone, and then entered that trade on calls, ended up taking my profit there, and then we reversed shortly after. And I forgot to show you this on the other first couple trades. So the first trade we talked about, that first sell signal, there's the screenshots. That was 31%. The second one was this bear flag, which you can see we didn't close above any EMAs, took the trade, dumped the 200 EMA, got 26% on those, and then the trade that I just showed you, see if I can find that trade actually. I think this is the trade. Yeah, so that's the trade, and then 42% on that one. So that was my third trade, and we'll continue with price action. So we find support, and we actually consolidate here for a while, and then when I make my thesis that I think if we can close above this 403 level, which is where this huge bearish engulfing candle happened, I think if we break through that, we would shoot up to pre-market high, and then ultimately my final target, my bullish target for the day was 404.23. And so when we broke out here, we were consolidating for a while, which let me kind of make it a little more obvious. So we were consolidating for a while, we had a support there, and then once we broke out of that consolidation, we had a bullish engulfing candle up, and we closed above that level I was looking for, so I entered calls here, and pretty soon after that we hit the first target, which was this pre-market high, but I remained in those calls because I didn't see any reason to get out of those. My final stop on all those was closed below the 21 EMA, and then we actually reject twice off that pre-market high, find support twice on the 21 EMA, and then we reject a third time and again find support on the 21 EMA. So the 21 EMA was pretty strong. Let me go through what I had drawn here. So I noticed that we were forming a rising wedge pattern there. So that was the rising wedge, and I did scalp from the bottom of the wedge to the top of the wedge here to pre-market high, and I posted that scalp on my Twitter as well. But I was still holding my original calls, so I'm going to consider that the same trade. But if we close below this pattern and the 21 EMA, I was definitely going to get out of these trades. So we end up staying in that wedge, and then we break out and close above the wedge, and that was a really bullish sign. And so I was looking to hit my final target, and then we hit my final target almost to the cent, and then pull back, and that is when I took my final trade, and I scaled all of my contracts out here at 92.3%. So those are my trades for the day, and I'll just finish the price action here. We pulled back to the 21 EMA, and then we ended up just ripping into close, hitting the top of the supply zone, or the bottom of the supply zone, and that's where we ended. So some good lessons here. The 21 EMA is, on trend days, it's a really good indicator of strength. Usually the 9 and the 21. I mean, you can see 1, 2, 3, almost 4, 5, bounces off the 21 EMA on this trend. So that's why I like to keep the 21 as my stop a lot, because I know it has strength, and if we close below that, things get ugly. So yeah, thanks for watching.